President of the UN Security Council for the month of November, Your Excellency, Madam Amina Mohammed, United Nations Deputy Secretary General, distinguished members of the UN Security Council, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I wish to congratulate the delegation of the United Kingdom to the United Nations for assuming the presidency of the Security Council for the month of November. And I wish to further thank Ambassador Pierce and through you, the UK, for giving us the opportunity to brief the Security Council on our recent joint African Union-UN Solidarity Mission to the Horn of Africa, led by my dear sister, Her Excellency Amina Mohammed, UNDSG, along with whom I'm honored to be briefing you today, and Her Excellency Madame Bineta Diop, Special Envoy of the Chairperson of the African Union Commission on Women, Peace and Security. Madam President, as indicated by my sister, the DSG, Ms. Amina Mohammed, senior women leaders from the African Union Commission and the United Nations conducted a joint solidarity mission on the participation of women in peace, security, and development. And we visited a number of countries in the Horn of Africa from the 21st to the 26th of October, 2019. On the first day, the joint mission briefed the African Union Peace and Security Council on the purpose of the mission. We also met with the chairperson of the African Union Commission for exchange and guidance on the proposed engagements during the mission. The central tenet of these missions is to support women initiatives and enhance their role and leadership in the peace processes, governance, and the development of their communities, countries, and ultimately the transformation of Africa through inclusive processes. The mission to the Horn of Africa is the third joint AU-UN Solidarity mission. Last year, in July 2018, we had the opportunity to brief the Security Council after the second joint mission that had taken us to South Sudan, the Lake Chad Basin, and the Sahel region. Then, we witnessed firsthand that peace, security, and development had little chances to stand out without the full and effective participation of women and youth who are on the front line addressing climate insecurity, radicalization, and violent extremism. This year, our efforts highlighted the poignant realities of women and girls who continue to suffer from exclusion, communal conflicts, internal displacement, unregulated migration, and violent extremism. However, in the midst of these challenges faced by the women and girls and young people in the Horn of Africa, our delegation also witnessed resilience, commitment, and strong drive for the transformation of the region. Indeed, in all the countries we visited, the delegation witnessed the creativity and innovation of women in the political and socioeconomic spheres of their societies. The laudable and courageous initiatives of these women needs to be bolstered by all of us. Madam President, with this in mind, permit me to share some of our experiences and perceptions during this visit. In Ethiopia, our joint delegation sat down and listened to the testimonies of women leading peace at grassroots level. The Mothers of Peace initiative have undertaken to sensitize youth to the dangers of ethnic division as the country undertakes to build a democratic and peaceful country. The delegation also met with women peacekeepers who play a pivotal role in Ethiopia's engagement in peace operations. We participated in the launch of the African Women Leaders Network, Ethiopian chapter, together with the President of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, Her Excellency Sahle-Work Zewde, herself an Aulin pioneer. The Aulin Ethiopian National Chapter will seek to contribute to ensuring women's financial inclusion, empower rural women, and mentor young women and support women's participation in peace and development. Our delegation further seeks to continue supporting women's-led movements, transforming the lives of people on the ground through this network. We also visited a shelter for women, victims of human trafficking, and heard firsthand of their plight as they try to reconcile their experiences and try to heal from the physical and mental wounds. The African Union, in partnership with its member states, is providing leadership to tackle the challenges of human trafficking in the region. The African Union Horn of Africa Initiative on Human Trafficking and Migrant Smuggling provides a platform for countries in the region to exchange information, share experiences, and deliberate on policies and strategies to effectively respond to this menace. In Djibouti, our joint delegation met with women parliamentarians, entrepreneurs in new technologies and media, as well as medical doctors who are leading transformation on the ground. Our meeting with the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, was very positive. He reaffirmed the country's commitment to strengthen women's participation in governance and peace, especially in light of the new era for peace in the region. The African Union remains committed to supporting the government, women, and youth of Djibouti to achieve the objectives inscribed in Agenda 2063, the Africa we want, and Agenda 2030. In Somalia, the joint mission was received by His Excellency Mr. Hassan Ali Khair, Prime Minister, and other senior government officials. Our consultations focused on women's participation in elections and in preventing violent extremism. At the African Union Mission to Somalia, AMISOM headquarters, we were inspired by our engagements with women peacekeepers. We shared their activities at community level, as well as in improving enhanced civil-military relations, which allows AMISOM to support national initiatives on women's leadership for peace and elections. The AU reaffirms its commitment to the participation of women in its mission in that country, and the AU is actively engaging its member states to increase women's participation in peacekeeping and increasing the number of women in their national defense and security services. In Eritrea, women's economic empowerment featured strongly with interactions on dam projects led by young engineers to provide water for household and agriculture. The joint delegation also met with the National Union of Eritrean Women, a leading force for women that goes back to the years of the liberation struggle. We also met with a dynamic group of young women who are committed to building their country and inspired by a future filled with hope and potential. The joint delegation also had a fruitful meeting with the President of Eritrea, Mr. Isaias Afwerki, as well as his ministers, some senior government officials, and the diplomatic community. We had meaningful exchanges and discussed the meaningful participation of women in the sectors of peace, security, and development. Despite the positive perceptions garnered from the initiatives on the ground, there is no doubt that efforts have to be doubled in order to ensure we remain on track towards achieving the development goals we have set for ourselves. Madam President, last week, during the open debate on women, peace, and security, we were reminded that the realities on the ground are far from reflecting the pronouncements and commitments that we have in our deliberations and decisions. It's time for us to break this cycle. Women's aspirations and initiatives that we heard and saw in our interactions across the 4 countries provide a clear basis to affirm that women's participation is imperative if we want to deliver on our commitments. Substantive support to their organizations and projects, continued engagement with member states to create conducive environment for women's participation in the arena where decisions are made, and at all levels, from grassroots to higher offices, should be prioritized. In French, they say, l'union fait la force. Indeed, concerted efforts between our 2 institutions, guided by the 2 frameworks of cooperation on peace and security and development, provide an immense opportunity to bridge the gaps on women's leadership. Last week, I had the opportunity to brief you alongside SRS Jihana Tete on AU-UN cooperation, which continues to strengthen as we make significant progress in a number of areas. It is important that our organizations continue to support women initiatives as they do have an impact on our communities. At the African Union Commission, within the framework of Women, Peace and Security, we want to put emphasis on the implementation of various actors of the commitments and strongly believe that the partnership with women organizations will provide the vehicle for concrete actions. On this note, I would like to conclude with the following points. First, the Horn of Africa must be encouraged and supported to to invest in its women and youth. Second, in all the countries we visited, we saw women's initiatives to enhance participation in peace efforts, governance, and development geared towards service to community. They need member states and partners' support. Third, AMISOM women peacekeepers are playing a key role in the sensitization of Somali women to leadership and community engagement. It is important to continue to support their endeavors to provide them with adequate gender-sensitive facilities to create a better working environment for them. And lastly, the new era of peace in the Horn of Africa provides an immense opportunity for enhanced regional cooperation. This is an opportunity to show true solidarity with the people and governments of the region. I call on our two institutions to be at the vanguard of this solidarity and respond to the aspirations of the people of the Horn of Africa for a peaceful, stable, and integrated region. Allow me to end, Madam President, by commending the efforts undertaken by the women and the leadership in Djibouti, Eritrea, Ethiopia, and Somalia. The African Union stands firm on the urgency to support these regional efforts to ensure the full rebirth of the Horn of Africa in line with our continental aspirations for peace, security, and development. I thank you.